First up as a comment, and I believe we have Mr. Skip Davis here that would like to come before, so I'll have you go first.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Skip Davis. I'm working with the Fair Council in terms of looking at the history of the fairgrounds, trying to get a timeline on it because it was in 1853 when the first county fair was held, not at the present fairgrounds, but at 600 South Main Street. That would be at Main and Armstrong, where the Main starts to curve. The fairgrounds was the southwest on property owned by Isaac Armstrong. He owned the orchard there, and he allowed them to set up tents and do things like that. That was the first fair. But anyway, I'm looking into the history of the fairgrounds, and one of the key structures on the present fairgrounds is that old administration building on the northwest corner. If you've not been in it, it's rather interesting to be inside because things have been done to it over a period of time to make it more usable to the current needs. And if you look around the north side, outside of the building, there are 6 bricks, I guess maybe they more correctly called them pavers, back in 1901. And they were laid at the base of the north side of the building, and they are emblazoned with the name Culver Block Company, and then the year 1901. The same pavers and the same block company made the pavers for the original paving at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So there's a connection with that particular building and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, perhaps an even very close connection between the two. Not sure yet. What we want to do is protect that building so that it becomes a historical site in Indiana and across the nation, and make sure that it is maintained in a good fashion over a period of years. Right now, there is one crack on the north face of it that needs to be looked at, and some other things that probably need to be done. I'm sure the surface hasn't been cleaned in years, and we want to know what we can do if we turn it into a museum. What can we do to that building to make it a usable museum, such as heating, cooling, and humidity control? So there are a lot of considerations going on. My question of the commissioners is, would you please give me permission to work on your property, this building, and get historical recognition for it?
Sure will.
I think we can do that, Tom. Yeah. Okay, yep, I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Second thing is, do you have any references or maybe a list of people you work with who could do the engineering background work on the building, see what needs to be done, see what it's going to cost to get things done, so we can put a package together and know what we're doing?
We could look into it at this point and try to come up with a plan.
Okay.
It won't be right now, but we can look into it and try to figure something out.
Does about 2 or 3 years ago, American Structure Point did a survey of the fairgrounds. I have not seen that document. Is there something in that would address that particular building that I could take a look at?
I have those. If you give me your email, I'll be glad to share them with
Okay,
you.
I'll be glad to.
I'm not sure if that building was included. It's 67 pages, so I don't have it all memorized, but we can take a look and see.
Right.
And then and we're actually in discussion with them on some other, moving forward with that type of project in their feasibility study and what we can do. So I think maybe this could tie in with that in some capacity as well.
Yeah, because the potential is for me to go out and find a sponsor who would give us some money to not only do the research work on the history, which is going to be over 5 or 10 years at least before we have anything substantial, and getting that building taken care of in a proper manner.
Yeah, I think that I'll get you that, and then we
Okay.
can kind of move forward, and we can be in discussion because for us, I'm kind of working on the fairground project, so
Okay, good deal.
we could do that.
I'll go back and write my email address down
Yeah.
for you and hand it off to you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Skip.
Is there anyone else that would like to come before in public comment? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Christine Byrne, and I am here because of the increased traffic on 500 North. The State Road 26 closure has caused all kinds of semis and other huge trucks to use our little road. And unfortunately, the road isn't wide enough for two trucks to meet without one or the other getting off into the ditch. And the ditches are fairly steep, plus it's a wetland area, so it's only going to be a matter of time before somebody flips. And I've actually been behind a truck before that's done that, and I know how far off they can go and how fast it can come back at you. And really don't want one landing in my living room. So I was just here to see if there's a possibility of reducing that traffic that's coming through there by posting a no through traffic sign or no through trucks or something, because it's really become quite heavy. It's a community that has, people walking and kids with ATVs and, old people with golf carts. It's become incredibly dangerous. I'd buy the most obnoxious jacket in the world just so I can walk my dog.
Yeah.
So
But we understand the problem. It's just, when you close the highway, everybody just looks for an alternative route. We could maybe post a couple signs up or something, but
that's it. I think just some signs would be the
Yeah.
best route. I mean, I know that there's not much you can do other than that, and they're probably still going to do it. But the trucks I'm worried about, there was one that was with a car hauler loaded down with full-size SUVs, and it met, a tanker right in front of my house, and I can guarantee all three of us peed a little on that one because it was,
it's just a mess when they close the highway and nobody
Yeah.
knows where to go and everybody just scrambles.
right.
We could talk to the county highway and maybe post a
We would sincerely appreciate it if we could just get a
children's
couple of
sign
signs,
or a slow sign or
something,
yeah.
right? If we could get
Please
them
we can.
to go somewhere else,
because
because there are routes they could go, they just choose not to use them, so,
Well,
Yeah,
they
that's-
are using them. They're using all the other county roads too and doing the
are
same
they?
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think our challenge is, we have the detours are set, but human nature takes over and people look for shortcuts around those, or they feel like those detours are too busy and they want to go different directions. But we also have a lot of construction going on all around the county,
Yeah.
and it's kind
True.
of making everyone have to get outside their comfort zone and go different places. But I think we could work with Rick and get some
Yeah.
slow down type of signs and that type of thing up there, and,
That would be
hopefully it'll help. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't
right.
guarantee
Probably
it
won't
won't, but
We just want to discourage them as much as possible.
Yeah,
Because,
well-
but the problem is they get on there and they don't realize how bad it is until they get there, and then they're like, oh, and then it's too late.
GPS doesn't tell them
Right.
conditions.
Right,
so,
exactly.
We'll try to do something there.
All right, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks.
thank you.
ssdavis store at comcast.net.
Okay.
I'll grab your email off the web and.
Yep.
It's on your card.
Might be right there.
Okay.
So, okay, is there any other public comment? If not, we'll move on to, I believe Marty Grant with Republic is here, correct? Yes. I'll give you the floor for a few minutes.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot other than we recently had the annual cleanup for the residents, and we took in 130 tons of waste on that Saturday. Looking back to last year, we did 60 tons in June, and then we did another 50 tons in September, so we was twice the volume we were last year in 2 events, and we have another event scheduled this year in September, so it was a very heavy event, which is good to see. Residents were very appreciative, and we'll have another one scheduled later in the year, so,
Okay.
Good deal.
all right.
Have you guys started work on your new building out there yet?
We started some grading. Right now, the company that's going to be doing all the concrete and flooring wanted to make sure they're on site when the building gets delivered, so he don't have to leave and come back.
Yeah.
So he's kind of waiting for the steel building to be delivered. That's kind of on back order. So as soon as that gets scheduled, then he'll be back out to kind of work his schedule out with the building arriving at the time he needs it to be there. So.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's still on a go, and once they get started, we anticipate them being working throughout the whole year and then into next year, so.
Good.
Okay,
Have anything else, Mark?
No, I don't.
all right,
Okay.
appreciate
for
it.
Thanks,
updating.
Thank
Mark.
you.
Appreciate it. Moving on, Mr. Rick Campbell is up.
We have the documents needed to move forward on the community crossings grant money. Just here the project funding, and I gave them to Britt this morning. And also, we're still hauling stone in for chip sealing, and that's about it. We're working on the cul-de-sac on Norris Way. We taking the gutter out this morning so we can get that paved. I think that's all I had today.
Do you think we could get some of those slow signs or something put up on 500 North?
Yeah, we'll make some.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
We'll make some.
Thanks, Rick.
Do we need a motion for this, Tom? Or just a sign? I think we,
Just-
okay,
yeah,
all right. Thanks, Rick. Next is Miss Liz Stitzel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't have a whole lot this morning. First, just by means of update, I don't know if any of you have driven out there, but the elevator is at this point over halfway down and rapidly progressing. And less the title, worry anyone, I did forward an email to you guys this morning with a report from IDEM. The whole page summed up is just everything's in compliance and the contractor's doing a good job and there's no issues. So, but it's just for our records. So, they're keeping at that. And then the other thing I had is piggybacking on the Norris Way topic. I have the resolution to accept the dedication for the public right-of-way for the Half-Cul-De-Sac. The two landowners have already signed. It requires your signatures to accept their dedication, making that our land.
Okay,
That's, Tom prepared this, it has to be recorded. Your signature page is there in a second.
we need a motion for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept the right away.
carries 2-0. Let me get your blue one. Anything else, Liz?
I think that's the main thing. Rick and I are gonna go out to Hillisburg tomorrow and take a look at the fence line of thistle. It generates some complaints, and he's gonna try to help us out with spraying that once we identify it.
Okay.
So if you guys get any calls about that, we're working on it.
Is that the Hillisburg?
Yes.
Okay,
Otherwise, it's just, we're busy in the field, nothing overly exciting.
good. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up would be Mr. John Query with the final change order on the water portion of the 65 project.
Thank you. Ian John Query with HWC for the record. I have a change order on the Division B, the water portion of the project along State Road 28 and the I-65 interchange. As you mentioned, this is the final quantity change order, so at the end of the project, we look at the final installed quantities and make adjustments with a unit price contract on what was actually installed versus what was estimated. So this change order is an increase of $25,780, and majority of that is for a water main that was extended south along NHK's east boundary. There was some additional footage of water main that was extended at their request, and an additional valve and hydrant there also. And then there were 3 additional valves installed on the east side of I-65 for the new elevated tank site to be able to make that connection for the upcoming project for the new tank and booster station. There were some things that were underruns that were credits as well, but when you add up all the quantities, and that's the increase in price. This is change order number 3. Change order number 1 was actually a credit on the job. It was like a $73,711 decrease. And then change order 2 was a $0 cost change. It was a schedule extension. And then this change order for $25,780. So total on the project is a decrease on change order. So that's always good on a project of this size to be on that
Yeah.
side of it. So.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's contingency set aside for change orders, usually 5%, so that's a good thing on this. So I'm just presenting this for your consideration. An approval actually has to be signed by the building corporation, but we'll go through the commissioners first for approval and then to them, so.
Okay, appreciate it. You have any questions, Mark? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Need a motion?
We don't need a motion on this, Tom. We typically have not, so
Okay.
it should be good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Move on to new business. Next up is Sheriff Kelly. Need your signature.
Probably just real quick on the padded cell repair or replacement of the padding in the padded cells, and also the walk-in freezer. Really just a new business. You should have copies of from the joint meeting, copies of the bids or the estimations of what it's going to cost to replace those. So just the walk-in freezer is going to, it's going to fail. It's going to fail. It's not going to keep up with the temperature keeping at as humidity and everything else rises in the building and the heat this summer. The padded cells need replaced due to just our medical company brought it to our attention. They're tore apart and they're going to collect, infectious diseases. That's the biggest thing. So,
I don't have a copy of that, but
okay.
I remember us talking about you had to step out at council and
Right.
and
Yeah.
Sean did a good job of presenting
Sean
it.
presented it,
but-
and he should have he provided. It
I
was
think
council.
probably the council,
Council
but we
has
were
it.
back
Yeah.
there.
I've got both of them that I can present you. Council kept the pictures of the walk-in freezer,
Okay.
and what happened was the motor just failed. Blades got into the I don't know what they're called, condenser that keeps the cool and air travels through between them, and it is pounded so much it's all the way up against the lines that run through the condenser. So you can't repair it. A lot of times, you can brush those out, bring them back to life a little bit, and give some separation. But these are, compacted to the point where there's no saving it.
Yeah,
So-
and the padded cell was it around 42,000? Is that
61, wasn't it, or 71 from Indianapolis?
It's any wall padding is $22,950.
and they're doing both of
They're
the
doing both.
So-
That's one cost for
Yeah.
both, is the way that I see the estimation here. That's both padded cells and for those. And I'll have to double check, but that's the cost we have for both cells. $22,950. Now the other companies that we got those bids from, and I sent those to Josh as well, they're out of state. One's out of Florida, one's out of, I think, Michigan. This person is out of Indianapolis, and I've talked to at least 3 sheriffs that have used his work. He does put a 3-year warranty on it, and I'll make sure that's put in writing so that if there's any damage or, anything starts to degrade in less than 3 years or less, he'll replace it.
Yeah, well, I would check on that because I think Sean thought it was only one was 22, and we were under the
Okay.
impression both were for 2. It was 44, which was still our lowest bid by
Right.
far, and the best option being local too. So I'm okay with that. We may want to.
Oh, we got to make sure. It is $22,950, one price for one room.
So
$22,950, so the total would be double.
45-ish thousand
Right,
or so.
right.
So I think I'm good with that. I think
Do you
Well-
need a motion on going ahead with the repairs?
I would say yes. I
Yeah,
would-
I'll
I
make a
think you
motion
would.
to go ahead with the lowest padded cell bid and the walk-in freezer.
And I'll leave these here for you. I don't need these copies. And you can take a look. If you have any questions, you can call them. I don't have the walk-in freezer copy because that was left with
that's-
council.
okay.
And I can
All the
email it to you.
Yeah, that works. Motion carries 2-0. So
Would that be for both or just the padded cells?
Both.
both.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I say, one of the biggest things is the padded cells. They've been there for several years. We've made repairs over the last probably 15, 20 years on it as time went on, but the material itself is just degraded to the point after 26 years, it's time to replace them. So I appreciate the effort of keeping those cells used. And they've seen more traffic because of the COVID issues and the COVID step ins that we have. The protocols we have is they get isolated for 3 to 7 days before they ever get to population. So those cells are used more than just for because with the space, we just don't have the space. So they're getting used, regularly now rather than just waiting on a person that's going to hurt themselves or, and that. So we definitely got to have those repaired. Appreciate it.
The AAA's waiting on the expansion tank, and it's supposed to be here within like the next 10 days, and then they'll probably go ahead and start putting that in.
Absolutely. You know, and I was going to send you an email regarding that estimate. I know we're getting ready to do a lot of work. RQW is going to be there next week. We're going to sit down with them and walk through with them. I mean, would it be feasible to revisit that and see on the duration, you know, if it's going to, I mean.
Well, I kind of brought that up when Ryan was there the first time, and it's kind of an emergency
Right.
situation.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the reason why is because if we have another joint burst on that, I mean, we are in an emergency situation.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
just
he's
wanna
already
cover both
ordered the
options.
expansion tank because it's a 3-week delivery.
Right.
And some of the fittings is a 2 to 3 week, so he's already got part of it
Yeah.
going. So I thought, well, you might as
Let's
well
get it
finish it.
fixed.
And
Because what we do end up is we'll end up without hot water and,
Yeah.
you know, and it becomes
and the way it's bypassed now, it's not going to last.
no. I think it's already leaking, isn't it? in
It
certain
is.
places.
now, so.
All right.
I just want to give you a heads up that that's in the process.
We will get it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Mark.
Next up is Miss Britt Osler. Do you want to go in front of us?
I do want to go
No,
in front of
you
you.
can stay right
No. I was just going to see if you minded if I signed the termination letters for our current time clock. We will have the new time clocks in place for the entire county. We're looking at July 2nd, and we're just giving ourselves enough time to do training and get all the biometrics for those scanners all set up for people. So we're trying to give ourselves enough time. I wanted to make sure it was okay. I signed the termination letter with TruePay.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I'll second. So
Okay.
I'll take that as a motion, Mark. So
Yeah.
we have it officially there 2-0 for Britt to sign the termination letters. Next up, Board of Health, but I don't see anyone.
She was just in and she brought the papers that I put in your packet.
Yes.
They are just wanting to see if, it's all right with the commissioners to do seasonal permits from 3 months to 6 months.
Yeah, and we heard her presentation at the council meeting, and I believe we were okay with it, so we'll just
I'll
need
make a motion to go ahead and approve the 3 months to 6 months.
I
Second.
think they were just wanting to make it official.
Yep.
Yeah.
2-0.
Okay.
Next up is Resolution 2021-08, which is establishing a policy for members of the Board of Commissioners to participate by electronic means of communication. So this, with what I would say, we're in the, hopefully, moving forward from COVID, the state has come out and suggested adopting electronic, a resolution to be able to continue to have some level of participation by electronic means. And Tom, I don't know if I'm missing anything with that.
Pretty
Okay.
much, yeah, they
So,
prepared one for both the council and the commissioners, so that way, just in case down the road, if there was a situation that would arise in which you would need to get somebody in remotely, electronically, you were allowed to do that through a resolution. It just helps to have that in place.
so I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2021-08.
As well, so 2-0. Next up is department head reports. Do we have any department heads that would like to have a few minutes? Okay.
For the sheriff's office, we have one K-9 unit, not the person, the actual K-9, and it's K-9 Chase. He's assigned to Lieutenant Ryan Ashlock. K-9 Chase will retire probably July to August, September, right in that time frame. What I basically am going to propose or ask that the commissioners would, when that K-9 retires, that the handler be able to maintain the dog in its retirement. So The last canine, Dizio, he passed at about 7 years, and it was kind of, they didn't see it coming, that type of thing, but he got ill real quick, and so with that, I'd like to, the canine officers have some paperwork to send to you, and that way it'll make it kind of seamless, but when we have a handler that wants to keep that canine into its, and take over the cost of vet feeding, things like that, we would absolutely, that officer is going to take on that responsibility, and that dog will be, a part of their family and has been, for the service years.
Yeah.
So I would like to have you start thinking about that. The canine Sergeant Joey Mitchell is going to provide me some information. I'll email it to you for some type of resolution, and we'll get Dizzy, or not Dizzy, but Chase up here to get some pictures with the county and commissioners and get him retired sometime later this summer. And he's been in service. He's going on 8 years of service, and it's about that time.
Yep, I'm okay with it, and obviously we'll make it official when we need to.
Right,
but,
absolutely. I
definitely-
appreciate that. But that's truly, it's one of the honors of having the canines, and it's, that dog is selfless. And if you think about canine years versus people years, if that's really true, he's been at work for a long time.
Yeah. So will Deputy Ashlock be getting another canine then?
He will not be
He
getting
won't
it.
be? Okay.
He, since his promotion to lieutenant, he knows how difficult it is. So, I mean, it's hard to be in charge of all the deputies and then
And a
also
dog.
handle the dog as well. We do have people that are interested in the canine position that'll be freed up and open. We do plan on purchasing a new canine, and obviously we'll put that through you guys as well as council on the funds to do that with. We have some grants that are available, as well as, so hopefully it'll come from non-tax dollars, and we'll knock it out.
Okay.
But we'll get that canine replaced, and Lieutenant Ashlock, I think he is sitting at 14 years, 15 years of service, so, it's that time. He's kind of moving up into the ranks, and, it's kind of, ready for him and ready for the dog, so it's kind of working out at a good time for him to, retire.
Okay, good.
But anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like a moment? Seeing none, we will move on. I'll go to commissioner reports. Do you have anything, Mark, that you'd like to? All right, neither do I today. So we will go to claims. We have claims dated May 7th of 2021 in the amount of $27,242.27. We have claims dated May 14th, 2021 in the amount of $3,024.67. We have bi-weekly claims dated May 18th, 2021 in the amount of $243,068.11. And we have court claims dated May 18th, 2021 in the amount of $9,057.25.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Full second, so it carries 2-0 on the claims. Next up, we have payroll. We have payroll dated April 23rd in the amount of $419,811.92.
Motion to approve.
Carries 2-0 for payroll. And then we have the minutes from our last meeting.
I don't have her minutes.
You don't have her
I
minutes?
don't
Okay,
have her
we will,
minutes, I'm sorry.
we will just continue the minutes until next time and double up.
Sure.
So, with that, there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.